trust me, this is going to be one of the most exciting events for the year. It's not for the faint-hearted, though. We're pedaling for the planet from Accra all the way to Aplau. That's a massive 192 kilometers of speed, stamina, and pure excitement. Guess what is happening on the Saturday, the 21st of June, 2025. So whether you're a solo rider or part of a team, this is your chance to be part of Ghana's biggest cycling event. Want to join the ride? Just pick up your phone and call 053-1100-927 and 053-2200-927 to register or make inquiries. Sponsored by Malta Guinness, Fratelli, and Qua Naturals. Now, come at the man, come at the moment. We're going to talk to two of our colleagues, one in Accra, award-winning Godwin Asidiba, and also all the way in the hinterlands, Belinda Tete, who's representing us in the Bono East region. That is a constituency. Helen Apia Ampofu. Chale, Unim Red.
Sadly, we're getting to know Red.
Answer the question, Unim Red.
As a meme personally.
Yeah, Unim Red.
Minim Nidin.
But Unim Red.
Minim the characteristics.
Red.
Minim Ninya rendezvous.
Unim
Hey!
Put together a documentary. We'll get to talk to him. But first, let's connect with Belinda Tete, who is up there in the Bono region. Belinda, good morning. Thank you very much for your time.
Good morning.
I know that you have been on the run and out and about trying to find out how people are hooked onto this whole opioid that has become a scare. What do you know? Tell us.
Right. So when it comes to the Bono East region, it's quite, even though I can't give the numbers, but it's quite a concern, a public health concern, because now, in as much as it has become like a slum that everybody's singing on the roads and everything, aside from it being a norm for people to be asking Unim Red, people are actually associated with these drugs. They are actually taking it day in, day out. And the funny thing is about the mindset, the reason why they take it. So I engaged with a few addicts who have found themselves engaged with these drugs, and they tell me the reason why they take it is because they want energy to work. And if they mean energy to work, they mean physical energy. So they want to work non-stop. And so the mindset is because they are thinking that to be able to make it in life, you're supposed to work extra hard. And when they mean extra hard, they mean physical work. And so in order to find access to be able to work non-stop, they resort to these drugs and they end up becoming addicts. And now coming out of it is actually a problem, because in as much as they know the side effects, some have actually tested to the fact that they started seeing the side effects, but they still can't stop taking it because it has now become part and parcel of them. If they go a day without it, it's actually a problem for them. Like they are uncomfortable, almost right now, they take your back, not they take your back. So it's like day in, day out, they are supposed to take it. They can't go without it.
Let's talk about the age ranges, the demographics. What did you find? Who is taking what and at what age?
Right. So with the people I have interacted with, I've realized that it's actually the youth that is taking it. Probably from the ages of the least you get taking it is around the age of 18 years. To as far as the age of 35, you would get the youth getting themselves involved with this drug. And it's actually a concern, because if all the youth are getting themselves involved with this drug, then it raises a question of how our future leaders would turn out to be. Because now the youth is what we are presuming to be the future leaders. And if all of them are responding to the intake of drugs, then our country is actually in a crisis.
Now, the objective for which they take this drug is for them to work harder. But when they take it, do they really work harder? Are they able to achieve that purpose?
Right. So some tell me, an example of someone I spoke to, he's called Ajenkwa. He tells me that he's actually a welder. So with him, he tells me that when he takes it, he's able to work non-stop. He doesn't get tired. He doesn't even feel sleepy. So he can work throughout the day, work throughout the night non-stop. But then some tell me the reason why the people who sleep on the road or who will be walking and be sleeping, the reason why they do that is because they overtake it. They take overdose. And so if there's an average amount you're supposed to take. If you take it more than what you're supposed to take, whether the reason is for you to get energy to work or whatever reason it is you're taking it, if you take it more than the average dosage, that is when you start feeling dizzy, you'll be walking on the road and you'll be sleeping and all that. And then the purpose for which you're actually taking it becomes bogus. But he tells me he takes it averagely. And so he is actually able to use it to work.
Where do they source it from? Where do they get it from?
Well, they have over-the-counter shops who sell these drugs. But funny enough, whenever you approach these said chemical shops, they tell you they deny even ever coming into contact with these drugs. Adinko actually told me a place where he buys his stuff. And I approached the assistant there, trying to get some sort of information as to why they sell it. But then the assistant tells me he has never seen such a drug before, and the only one they sell is the prescribed one. So he doesn't have any contact with these drugs. He has denied having any sort of information about the said drug.
I can imagine how close you are to the border. Do you get a sense that this may be sipping in from the porous borders that we have?
Please come again.
Do you reckon that this could be coming through the porous borders that we have? Have you heard anything of the sort?
Yes. I'm actually presuming that it comes from the various borders. Because since it's illegal, they can't take it through the formal route that they're supposed to take it. So I'm presuming that it comes from the various borders that we have.
The traditional authority where you are in the Bono East region, what have they to say about this matter?
They've actually started making campaigns against these things. They've actually started creating awareness on some of these drugs, the side effects of some of these drugs, so that at least those who are yet to be involved into it would at least know the side effects of it, so that it would deter them from going deeper into it. So far, I think that those are some of the steps they decided to take to make sure that the youth can stay away from some of these drugs.
Thank you very much, Mr. Te. We're grateful that you could join us this morning from the Bono East region, and thank you so much indeed for attending upon us this morning on Sunrise on 3FM 92.7.
Thank you too.
All right.
Enter inside a cafe. Say, if I know what cafe can give me. If I didn't go to school, I would not have been saying all this English. School helped me. So sometimes I even thank God for not making me an illiterate. My mom, as now as I'm talking to you, to be frank, she knows I smoke. But she has been telling me I should pray to God. Her too, she prays for me, so that I'll get a chance to stop that.
Benjamin, a graduate of a Bree Secondary Technical School, once believed he would become a journalist. Now, that dream seems to be inching far away. Instead, he spends his days in a ghetto feeding his addiction to illicit drugs.
As I was young, I used to tell my mom I want to be a journalist. Because since from JHS and things, oh, you know, Any quiz then things and parts. Last time goes on, I changed my mind. I told my mom I wanted to be a soldier. I've been seeing that me man. I am uta. I'm shishi. You know.
Benjamin and his friends who live in these ghettos are struggling to hold on. Here, it is not just about peer pressure. It is about escaping poverty and coping with trauma. The growing menace of drug abuse is threatening their future and stealing human resources that could change their story.
I met Emmanuel Asamavong, 38, a father of 3, who now feels he has lost everything.
Me grand baby at one was me imagine free so nothing at me. Me boaf one quadia, meet me full. Namme so meeting me that damn to suffer anything and I'm so metier. I must have life we see and clank. Amundre baby or muya. Some of my catcher and the Omoya Chireno. 6 years life no moon, see my bread. I bread, Miss Mesha Miniboa for me,
Despite warnings from family, he ignored them. Today, he blames himself for the death of his mother.
And I'm fond of for somewhere and the middle rabbits. First crime, a banana will say or train cooking, and me by different in some 8 years or so. So, no, me name say a bedroom, maybe I didn't build a bedroom.
Trembled under the influence of a drug she could barely name, and with vacant eyes, she offered herself for sex for as little as 20 Ghana cedis. We walked deep into the ghetto, far from where I found her, just so I could hear her story. Her eloquence struck me. Too sharp, too clear for someone so consumed. I wondered why.
My parents forever once never gave me to believe in second chance.
She could barely keep her balance. She had just taken a few tablets and the euphoria had taken hold.
Nothing. Because I could maybe bleed sometimes and it comes so hard. I deserve to take some pills and feel relieved. I take pills most times. I would take injection too.
A mother of a 9-year-old boy, her moments of joy are fleeting. She has endured too much, and Red has only made it worse.
My kid is 9 years. I got operated of appendix.
You?
Yes, please. Before I give birth to my child. And I guess I'm fine. Sometimes I could take some tablets to just feel so hefty to work.
Not long ago, she collapsed hard. The jagged scar on her shoulder is a reminder of the price she's paid.
Yes, my mistake.
So sorry about that.
Free FM Sunrise.
And those are excerpts from Godwin Asidibe's documentary, Hooked on Red.
Yes.
Godwin, welcome. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you,
So
Johnny.
this
Good to
is
be here.
the reality from the ghettos. The story in the Bono East region, how different is it from the story that you did here in the Greater Accra region and beyond?
Surprisingly, it's almost the same because when you go to the remotest part of the country, that's where you even find it more. Now the police have started their own investigations trying to arrest people who abuse the substance.
Right.
And in the remote areas, that is not really happening there. You know, the ministers, everyone is here. They've started a campaign to also ensure that all of this will come to an end. So all the action is in Accra. But you go to the other areas and you know, you see people who are even doing it more than people in Accra here. So it was revealing. This is not the first time I'm working on a story when it comes to the abuse of substances, but this particular one was an eye-opener because I went to places where you would see people who gather on daily basis and all they do is put the red into energy drink and then they consume it, and that's what they do every day. So when they take it, it gives them some sort of euphoria. They feel on top of the world. They are very happy, and that's all that matters to them. And it's happening right around Circle. I remember when I was working on the story, I went there for a couple of times, and some people will be able to make me out because obviously they might be watching me on TV or my story. So sometimes when I'm working on these stuff, I think people don't know me, but I think it's something that I need to really consider. There was a point where I got to a certain place. It was like a room as big as this space, and that's what all the boys were doing. Over 600 of them. Yes, a lot. So when I walked past the bar, it was like a bar, an open bar. I spent about 3 seconds because I was with someone, and then I came back. Once I went out and came back in less than 3 seconds, no one was in the room.
Everybody had vanished.
Everyone disappeared, and they were all sitting on chairs. It was like an arranged bar.
So
but
they thought that you were perhaps an informant.
Exactly. And it was so surprising to know that they could vanish within those few seconds.
The ghetto is the ghetto.
And it tells how these people are aware that what they are doing is not good, but then they are still hooked. It's not their fault because they are addicted now. And the big question here is how they will be able to recover from the abuse.
First of all, let's explore where they get it from. You went to a location, you saw them in their numbers engaged in this practice. I remember in my early days, I'd gone to Adabraka, some corner, somebody had showed me, and the energy drink thing you talk about. So they buy the energy drink, they share it, they halve it into two, and then they add codeine, they add the tramadol, now red, which is a higher power, and then they add some other stuff, and then they drink it. And look, whatever you do, they are not even here with you. They are here, but they are not here. I mean, this was back in the day, more than about 10 years ago. If people are still doing the same thing now, it means that there's a source.
There is.
Did you find the source?
So there was a BBC revelation on that. There was an investigation that showed that the hub is in India. Now, this is what most of them do, because I'm not working on the story alone. I'm working alongside with my colleague Stanley Nibleo. So he went to Togo, Agbotime, and per his own investigations, when he was trying to speak to some people, he mentioned that there were a group of alhajis, that's how he termed it, who would get these substances from India per order from different countries. So once it gets to Togo, I think there are some borderlands that you don't find immigration officers there. So these alhajis will use farmers or Okada riders to move the substance from Togo to the other communities, and that's how they are able to transport it, and then finally it lands into Ghana, and then they distribute it to whoever places an order.
So this is sold in the ghettos, in the pharmacies, where?
Yes, in the ghettos, in the pharmacies, but mostly the ghettos, because that was my target. And when you try to find out from these people to know exactly where they get the substance from, no one would give you an answer. But I also wanted to highlight something to probably aid the police in their own investigations, because when you watch the documentary, it exposes these areas that these people are practicing the trade, and they are popular locations, somewhere around Circle, close to the VIP station,
on the rail line.
Exactly, absolutely. And then when you go to
that is the Lion's Den, man. It's that lane connecting from the door to the college.
It's a dangerous area. And I remember going there for the third time. I had a group of people who walked up to me and asked me what I wanted on a motorbike, and it was getting a bit scary and dangerous, because there are times people will just be staring at you with a serious face, and you don't know what's running through their mind or what might even happen to you. But the drive in me to tell the story was so strong, so I didn't really pay attention to that, because usually when you want to get these stories told, you have to, gather courage and confidence to ensure that all of this.
How expensive is this opioid, Red?
It's actually not really expensive because a tablet goes for 10 Ghana cedis.
10 Ghana cedis?
Yes,
to
in
get
Accra.
into that mess.
Yes, but outside Accra, most of them sell it for 15 Ghana cedis. Yes, so
and how many do you need to take to be sleepwalking?
Most of them will take just one. You
and
take one and then you add it to your energy drink, or you either
swallow it just like that.
Yes, and you are good to go.
I see.
Yes.
But you also found women in there.
Yes, I did. Surprisingly, you know, I remember going to there's this area in Kumasi. I don't know why I keep forgetting the name. So I went to Asawase, you know of Tenka.
Right, I know Tenka.
Tenka also in Kumasi. And when I got to Tenka, it was so hard. It wasn't really easy for me to get down and then walk into the space because they know all the people who live around there and what they do. So once they see a stranger, they can tell this person is new and you might be attacked. I couldn't enter there. I couldn't even get down from my car because it was really dangerous. You see people walking around with knives, scissors and stuff, and they look so serious and dangerous as well. So it was one of the places that I was really targeting, but I couldn't go there. But I went to Asawasi and other ghetto areas and Colombia as well.
Did you get a sense that the people in there who are hooked onto this drug, who want to be rehabilitated, to come back to their former state?
Yes, yes, I did. The young man, we saw him speak when we played the video, wants to quit now because according to him, he was hooked on the substance. It led to the death of his mother because the mother complained about how he looked and how the drug was turning him into, and you know, he didn't listen because at that point he was hooked. He's still even hooked, and now he regrets it when he's not high. He wish he could be able. He wish he would be able to, you know, get some sort of help to go to the psychiatric for counseling to overcome the addiction, but the money to even go to rehab is not there. He mentioned that there was a time he went to a rehab in Kumasi, slept in front of the facility. They told him he could pay 3,000 Ghana cedis just to undergo, you know, the process, but he didn't have that money and had to leave. So most of them want to undergo the treatment to overcome the addiction and become normal again, but they don't even have the money to access such facilities.
What kind of work do these people do? These people who intoxicate themselves with this substance?
They do nothing. Most of them would either be picking scraps or plastic materials, and once they pick all of that, put them in the sack, and then they sell for, let's say, 20 cedis, 30 cedis. The next thing is to get the drug. One mentioned that when he wakes up in the morning and he doesn't even swallow the pill, he doesn't feel normal because he has to do that. And imagine waking up, you don't have money to buy the pill. You do whatever it takes to get the money.
Including stealing.
And once they get the money, they head to the ghetto area, get the substance, consume it. Even if they don't eat, they are good.
There are those who say that the drug enhances their sexual prowess. Did you hear that in the ghetto?
Yes, a lot of them say that.
Tell me about it.
I remember meeting a young man at Circle under the bridge, the overpass. When you drive through in the evening, you see a lot of them lying there, and he's actually there with his wife. So when I got there, he told me that he had actually taken one, and once he's done that, it enhances his libido to want to, you know, satisfy his wife. And once he does that, the wife enjoys
under the bridge.
I don't know how they do it.
In open air.
I didn't ask, but I'm sure when they cover themselves with a cloth or something, it's more like
I've seen people lie down in pairs under that bridge, but I don't know that that they do such.
So imagine if they are being covered with a heavy duvet or something and they are lying there, and it's actually like a busy street. It's only cars, so when something is happening, you wouldn't really pay attention to it. Yeah.
See, how long did it take for you to put this together, Godwin?
It took, let's say, 3 to 4 months.
Okay,
because
together with Stanley Blow.
Yes, I had to go to the ghettos as I was secret filming. you can't go there, mount a camera because they will
that's
come
crazy.
at you. Yes, and you won't get everything that you want on a day. So you have to be going, go here, go there. There are times you go and you won't even be able to film because someone is watching you or people are constantly monitoring you. So it took time, and I didn't just do it in Accra. I went to Tichimana, I went to Kumasi and other areas as well.
Did you ever get tempted to try it to see how to feel how the people feel so you can tell the story in a better way?
Not at all. Because, like I mentioned, this is not the first time I'm working on such a story. The one I worked on initially was Married to Cocaine, and I've seen how the drugs are destroying these people. So why would I want to put myself in their shoes? It's definitely not something that I would want to experience or find myself in. So the relevance or the importance was just to highlight the challenge and to let people know that this is dangerous, and even if you haven't tried it yet, you shouldn't try to.
Godwin, I thank you very much indeed for your time. Godwin Asedeba is a journalist here. It's also the man who brought us Hooked On to Red. Earlier he had brought us Married to Cocaine. And Godwin, congratulations to you and to Stanley Nibler as well.
Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed. We'll get into the conversation now. It's only 6 minutes to the top of the hour 9, and Dr. Albert Sedo here is here as a specialist psychiatrist, Kolebu Teaching Hospital. Also, Professor Titus Kofi Beyo is the MP for Lambushe and the Member of Parliament for that constituency, also a member of Parliament's Health Committee. They're joining me here now. I've got two gentlemen in studio, one in a neon green shirt, the tiger on the heart. Charlie, brother, how are you?
I'm doing good.
Everything nice. Yeah. What's your name, Chairman?
I'm called Kofi.
Kofi?
Yeah.
I see. Do you use hard drugs?
At first I was taking it, but now.
Not first, now we know hard drugs. Near what?
Oh, now 225 red no, and they're plus no one even. But I'm taking it for some time. I won't say. Ejuma me and Nima Pomo Diamidi Ejumano, and now on Diamidi Ejuman Abafo. Until I told maybe I'm a casse. Ejuma me call me who Faswa Medi Saskana Medi ye.
Right.
A drona na me to. And I was sending to me dear service. And I'm going to send them on trouble because I'm a quick Jumana wait. I'm to me Pija with Jumano. Sanya Manina Swati. Nagasa form of Mukutana and Nonkasa Swati. Into Sanya Man Pesame Mitrato.
Right.
Because I'm boy, my shady I am called for street and Yadipa. Because it's here, Minokasai, no battery. I'm a top and pace, me case. Okay. And me case me top and pace. Now me also this camera to sad drugs. The same time is smoky. Now me say take drugs. There is no fair. Now me case me enjoy.
Now, OC 225 near cross no in them. A bow cross in them.
Bill, different types.
Near cross no one them, they higher power.
Yeah, different type of 250. You're 250. You're 225 and Casa. 250 no. Offer the boosting here fast.
Okay.
I don't know a cross and then Vinvin. I don't know a flat. No, a boosting 10. They're flat and then Vinvin. And a boosting 10. I know 250, but 225 and they're plus no than Vinvin. I don't know my own Didi.
Okay.
I don't know my own Didi. No cranya me my own Didi. One meeting as is among us about me call me a former drunk a
drone and a mouth also because so far to mean
Didi. Now my week. A drum cry me cockra ebia Suni Yamana me to told no noms to be used a drink. But Papa said you are name more drew. Me this is here me tell you my feel go.
Yeah.
And this one man at because anything family queen
but what you know dada on be dada
so far because I don't know no matter on a days we jumana say a drum pempe so be na start ye jumamon feeling I am on udinawa o knew also we say why you from so now days one this will be a sabe plan now obobrim
right
asare wo say bia ojina no wo daisy enya sadia obe daisy sa bia ojina otumi twahwe kura bia ojina na enye bomu ana ase bia na ase otumi twahwe bi won so a ondidi a ebe hano one obefe
right
obi won so numa onum ndia and then baako na ebe fa no but the more onum baako na ebe fa no
right nti so increase
increase no so enya de a ondidi o se odidi na when didi so a eba be twa eba be o se twa
right
ebe yi wa bo pepepe ebe ma ehuru wo anu nyina so no eno so ya bad that time na nya eduane abetime ya de a contain no so eduane ni wo ebe contain na do le be twa because nsuon kwa na wo him
den na wo de wo ko share we mu
eno ane say daddy me down for ya me nyom kokoto edo get to here
right
obi ato na me hu se wato and then fancy asimesi me no ma say na be mi me so me say me try nhwe da ba ko no
okay
and I saw me dem a de bia me
first day how fire na ya den saying
you zoom me correct
mentase
na me first day me no me feel to the extent I say obi am yare bubu me cry because anya de amanum bi pen
right
bubu me cry ade tinya me ko ho me ko inquiries na mo ka chairman say na de ne tuo na me ka sasa na de ne tie de ya no nyina ye prayer ho bitiwa minum cry na ho na e frame
okay say bra betobi
I say eduane I say comedy me de ya me here eduane edi no say so na de ne tie so far as amonum no ba ko no de o say de bia me nko and I make us no say so far as de bia me discover to na me say scan de ba ku bia 10 cities meto 1% o abi
yes amofa etimi mamo empama ground wording no
oh I know the sisi and for now no dey how otumu say be ma empama grow but as time goes on be wiki wangasa woni padua no because sisi and edidi umoja mo no edidi umoja e ko don pemu straight ade fa moja mo so na e ko don pemu straight
oh yeah wadwin say obejai no difficult and
difficult because o so be no no twon nipa no feeling na nipa no feeling no o so pesa o kosa feeling no bi ba o se ho dia tanya ma no we jai obi oni ba oni bed no tanya ma no gusu ye ba o bed na o ade a o ye dia o come 2 times 3 times on ka so we jai
na time na wo num no o wife na who feel saying
oh sata na me ben no mum sata na me wo adwuma me adwuma wo zen ashama zen
right
enti ho na ya to de bia ya kwakoto heba shia ho na bia ya kwa
right na monya bi wo
na nya bi wo ye bisa pucha na pucha na kire nipa e be balance akono
right
na kwakoto nipa no enti mo times na kompo a omo ana mo chesi edu ansa we du na ofro o etia mo etim onya market
omo tie mo sen
Oban so nim say oban no
right
enti no am sign so wa see
okay
fitichi no wo sign say
no mo ton no omo numbi
but no onum no down immediately now original board no
okay
onum tama night time now obi akwakọ da no no so okwakonya no akwakoda ebi on da obi onum mimi num zisia na mint penin da because me say misika
into bedding
say feeling na me person me feeling me da feeling me nya biom
I say fa me ko hana fa me bra hana wa fa kwan na bobo u ko hano abaha
say be ban say so
I see but boys as you see omutie ya afina omuremu no e den na obeka tro
me dey futu me wa me be ma wo say sisi an obehu say wo ya de pa but dachi bi no dachi no de we chira ya o china bi no behu say ya ba be ka so yare
say no na abaso
me manum ma yare pen but yare no susu aso am hu ya da de anya easy
e ya wo saying
ube junso moja correct moja me do nyanko ba watasoro entina sanya ma me twanyina
moja nkasa
won say red na wonum no at the same time a brew yemu baby akwakoda at the same time kidney na yin aduane na woman no kidney no so obe feed
right
kidney no so ayemre all for drugs no so drugs na no odin see kidney no aka aduane na was common as contain but see all the drugs na too the kidney no be emre onum no see obeka say co private onum no see obeka say co private about toilet in the by within 15 to 10 minutes the ube feel say co toilet
o konso beba
o co toilet nso beba nso na aduane no yem nso e nsuo na wanum no o kwa nsuo no kwa na beka ko ntizia na wonam na wo mo ya
na de na ya amanfo bobo mo asummo mo say ase oda
say dia wo ya no enye
bo reset yomo
o say youth no because me who say wa be jina wo yes ade me person me so me ko num ade a wo num na wo yes ade no ana my boys be brede on mo agim
yanhwe be wo see ashamanzem but you see boys no mo nenam kromo mo so mo tuton row rubber bag bun so mo
si anu nyomo za onya man for mo tuton do rubber ni pano bi o ton jot oton jot ni those nyama next coffee ni ade no through into it oba better jot oba better jot no menos coffee o menos coffee me tutiwa ade no obi o me obi o person ofa echewa no akotwe abero
I see
onya twebro wa o yi free pack no ma o yi free pack o yi tablet no free pack no ma ono beji rubber no so that my evidence no wa around
okay I see na am the fra bibi
normally no yam fan fry
see boys the fry energy drink the fra codeine the fra
no kwa I mean no the fra codeine na substance na wom no and ani France you na onya o feeling it say the open
okay
until unum no hardly sana na koto yema ansa na be distract no na ye nyama na open ama ho yem
until na ye slow until ufa ba ko a be say how many hours na ye jo
oh roughly it me take 5 hours and 6 hours
ba ko bia
until
mom fa 2-3 no say the
media no cry first time I Mr. Semi take me that I'm na enye red a trauma do ankasa trauma king and
white one
first time me fa I did see me cross to na feeling that so me na me de ku eduma na my memre e to de bia me ko 7 motor wi a ma 7 motor wi a eduma no mo amazing for na eduma na me makope bibi na me da hono na ya omutimi kasa me ni ma na me feel bad now so no side way the intimate boy aminja
na utumi de kaboto ni de
oh daddy when their boys be breeding accident roughly no enya regular because obi o wa father no feeling no nya wa ni body mu otumi say ono no e killer o moto no so last otumi say sam from na e fan ni so no any pressure dey from an dey born ni so no so feeling no nya no e different
ne de any difference in yen nyina
ye na ma nante no eno no step in normal but Timothy so na from an e born no so feeling no nya no different enti ono Timothy ono no ye rider I was street in so nyina to him no ni power fight
ono no e king kon no
who say ono no rider was
last killer
wallahi so say baba ni sa
hey na on so be wu
say feeling na wo mu no de oh yeah onim say de kwakoto wenim ana say de kwakosi o de onim say feeling na home obi after that no after trauma doctor your rafino ankasa green I say green color bisa and no otimi no ma otimi to so na refi otimi da o was several times me nya accident was I there no pain
what that
oh daddy
moto swada
moto am to fresh and the first time me nya accident wallahi me free a friend saying ma connect ma tuba road.
Okay.
Ameko. Ansa na me do tuba gota no mayo, could no mayo. Ansa na me do so. Me free ho ma hu like highlight e free tree ba. Ansa me kas me hu highlight na me twa mu afa bridge no first ramp no so no. Na mada. Me hu correct to na me fi moto no so akwakoto we bi.
Hey.
Papa di bina si am matching too that way no onumpo no so me no oni me pa Usta mana mi moto ejuma no ni me pa ntino ono be so me mu. Abo am ansa me mitimi pia moto no kofi.
Unya hodin sa pia moto no kofi.
Se obo for now to me so all right there. Sa hodin there be ba mo back. Because strength now there quite na strength na e ko ewo mu no matter how no da so gina mu. Boss en kwa wonya accident e wie kwa na ade ya wo no moja hyew no mu ade na wa no mu ntini moja hyew no mu ebe o say sorry nso e bia na wo na ebu ana say bia na wo be bi na ayeden epra ba moja hyew no mu o de sorry gidi because of ade ya wa no mu nti
right. But mami bi so nti yemfa ne se wafa ahomachi a wo ko ejuma anapa uko do ejuma say wo boss who say why like that obi o ma wo ni ejuma obi lose wo ejuma
say the moment I ko ejuma no die en say be ko do ejuma mu e bia obi no mo fianza ko do ejuma mu o do ejuma mu that time na afa wo fie dada wo ejuma mu wo ye ejuma na o timi bo sa time na ejuma no speed up na e wo mu no hono mu no ye frame water njina e bia ni ho
okay
we can say relaxing be bom we nya sa short distance in there and all this njina e bia no nti we ya to tama e bia adwuma be ba less into ko chokia hona ndan be start
but ya mo ndini ho say sika wo pe no you end up using all of it at hospital because doctor said we had o ti ha o kokole bo be sika
and true
prof so time o kokole bo nko be sika amu ndwene ho sa
menum do baby na Mr. Sam me take sad decisions because enya easy
nti se se e na ma wa ho de ejuma
see am just we no normal help na me fa
right nti eno na ma wo vim de ejuma
fiti da eno na me no
ba eno de se ma mu didi bebre o
da
ma un didi bebre slim macho na coffee mate meba prof. This is revealing indeed, and this is the reality on the streets and in the ghettos. How did we get here?
Good morning, Johnny, and good morning to the gentlemen in the studio and to the listeners. It's a very sad situation. In fact, before coming to the studio, we're having some conversations while we're sitting together. And when they revealed how deep the issue is, I think we are in a very bad state as a country. It's maybe started as little drugs, cannabis here and there, and maybe we just lost it out. We didn't tackle it the way we should. And even now, having had a conversation with them, I think our approaches must change. And it's just clear that the extent of devastation that these drugs and the opioids in particular are causing to our youth is beyond what can be measured. And listening to your colleague,
right,
and the ghettos is being to all of that, what we are talking about is a tip of the iceberg. Because this gentleman will tell you the people who sell this, you are not going to find them even in the regular drugstore.
That's right.
Majority of the peddlers are not even Ghanaians. There are some of our colleagues, our Western neighbors in the country. And they are not going to come around carrying drugs in a basket or in something that you can see and confiscate. You know, they will come, some are selling, as he mentioned, cigarette,
right,
which is a legal thing that they can sell.
Right.
Some
to front it.
To front it. Some are hawking with phone. I'm told phone cases. And you will see the person hawking with phone case. How are you going to arrest that person? But then they know themselves and they know how to deal with it. So it's bad. The worst aspect of it is that the addictive potential of the opioids is so huge. And if it's happening in a country with low economic state like ours, we are just in a bad state.
How many do you need to take for you to be hooked on?
Good. So for some people, it's just a single one.
One tablet.
One exposure. And the yearn to get it will be there. At that time, you are not addicted, but you yearn for it.
Right.
I mean, I had a procedure, and I was giving Petidin. And I slept off. But when I woke up, I remembered how nice it felt when I had the Petidin.
Right.
And I was in a little pain. I wish I could have some. At the time, my wife said, no way. Even though the doctor who was managing me had prescribed some more, that I should take not more than up to twice in a day, and that was going to be the end.
Right.
She was like, you are not taking anymore. You know, but I could imagine how I felt briefly for the period
that you had it.
I had it. It just took the pain away. And this is a prescribed drug.
Right.
Now, so these guys will take drugs that are higher in doses than these ones. Some not approved for any clinical use. The euphoric effect in the brain, the excitement it causes. And that's what, as you were speaking, I wish my pharmacology students those days would have been listening to him.
Right.
It's like painting a pharmacology textbook. They feel very high. Their perception of things is different. They are in a grandiose state. They see themselves
feel good.
Very good, and see themselves very superior, like Superman. They can't even die. That's a feeling. So you are riding. You don't assess, your risk assessment is very poor. So you perceive risk very, 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 very poorly. So you don't even anticipate the things that can happen. So this is the state in which we find ourselves. And the worst of it is that, and he just alluded to that, a phenomenon we call in pharmacology as pharmacologic tolerance.
Okay.
Which means that you take a particular dose, you get a particular feeling of high. To be able to get that same feeling of high subsequently, you need a higher dose.
That's right. That's right.
So you increasingly, you need higher doses to be able to feel the same effects. And then you become now dependent on it. And the dependence is both psychological and physical. In some instances, when they are not getting it, they actually will feel pain, bodily pain, when they are in what we call the withdrawal. So you have to do anything to get it. So you are hooked on, you don't have enough money to get it. So you go into antisocial behavior.
That's right.
Stealing anything that you can do to sustain it, just to be able to maintain the same level of feeling. And the side effects, plenty. Apart from the psychological, psychiatric issues that they are dealing with, he just mentioned one. What he was describing, it could be what we call in medical terminology hematuria. Some of these strong painkillers can cause you to have frank hematuria. So you have actual blood like in your urine.
Right.
It may be acute and then may go and you'll be fine, but if persistent, can lead to actual renal or kidney damage. And you know, in this country, if your kidneys are damaged,
you are on your own.
I mean, it's a very bad state. So we are in a very terrible state as a country. And maybe when we start to think about how to get out of this place, we have to think outside
I'll
the
come
box.
back to you for the approaches that must change.
Yes.
But Dr. Sedia, let me come to you. Is it easy for people to get out of this maze if they find themselves ever in this maze? They go into the ghetto, their friend says, oh, Charlie, take one, and they take one, then the yearning is there, and then they get hooked on. But then, like the gentleman in the video, they've seen that, look, this is useless, I want to come out. Is it that easy?
Okay, so first of all, good morning to you and our listeners, and of course everybody in the studio.
Right.
So specifically, we are talking about opioids.
That's right.
And it's extremely very difficult to just get off opioids on your own. So there are two phases. The first phase is the impulsive use, which you described well, which is a friend was using and recommended. Maybe that time he was already smoking cigarette or taking cannabis.
Right.
Those are, and then he tried opioid. Because of what Prof said, opioid has a very high addictive potential. What that means is, with an impulsive phase, they use it without thinking about the consequences.
Okay.
Then when tolerance sets in, you begin to use more to achieve the same result. And you keep using more and more. When you are now dependent, which means your system has now adjusted to its use, whereby you need the opioid to somehow feel normal, to somehow function, to get out of bed, to be able to go to work, you need the opioid in your system. Then you go to the compulsive phase. That's what he said. It's like the drug is calling him.
Right.
Without it, you can't function. And the reason why, and the compulsion is
You
fueled
feel
by...
inadequate.
You feel inadequate. You can't have the energy to get out of bed because of the chemical that is released that causes the euphoria, the good feeling Prof felt when he had a... His wife is a doctor, so that's why the wife rented him from... Yes, she knows better.
You won't cross that line again.
No. We don't want you to get there because it's a difficult thing to manage, yes. So the chemical that is released that causes the euphoria is dopamine. And that gives you it's a motivational kind of thing. Makes you want to do the thing again and again. Now, when you cross to the compulsive phase, that's why some people term it spiritual. It's not spiritual. It's because of you have to do it to feel okay. Now, if you don't, you suffer withdrawals. Now, they continue compulsively because they want to avoid the withdrawals.
Yes.
And opioid withdrawal is like the worst you can ever think about. So I always want people to understand what it is by giving you an example. Like, say, if you have, for example, you've ever had a runny stomach before,
That's right?
So let's say you have nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, joint pain, abdominal pain, headache, irritability, all these ones, right, times 10.
Right.
At the same time, happening to you. This is what they are trying to avoid when they continue using, even though they know it's not good for them. So after some time, they are able to tell this is taking too much of my time, too much of my money, too much of my strength. But they just can't stop because they are trying to avoid the withdrawal.
Right.
So they keep going back and back. And opioid, because it's of the addictive potential, it's very difficult to just stop on your own.
What do you need to stop?
You need medical help. There are two phases. You have to seek help, come to the hospital. Don't do it on your own. Because those who try to do the detoxification at home almost always go back using. Because nobody wants to go through pain. Pain is the doctor's best friend. So nobody wants to endure pain of headache, abdominal pain, joint pain, vomiting, all this. No. So come to the hospital where we are going to give you what we call a medicine assisted treatment.
Okay.
Medication assisted treatment. So we give you medication to ease the burden of the withdrawal for you. And hopefully right after that, we then engage you with a rehab facility, either residential rehab or OPD basis, that's outpatient basis. But on your own, especially if you've used for long and you use higher doses, it will be extremely difficult for you to just stop on your own. Now, all the people you see, slurry speech, slow, and they are not happy where they are. Now, you heard what he said when he was working. He said he continued using it because of how the drug made him work more.
Right.
Good. So the commonest people will find them in as manual laborers, masons, long distance drivers, hawkers, construction workers. These are the people, and armed robbers, also criminals.
Long distance drivers.
Yes.
With all the passengers in there.
Yes. He told you how they were feeling that when the wind is blowing.
Right.
This is the second time I'm hearing someone who uses saying the same thing right here in this studio. This is the second time.
That the wind is blowing
in their
feeling
face.
so
It
cool.
gives them high feeling. And at that point, they are at the point where they have poor decision making, poor judgment. So imagine you're at the back of that motor, and he doesn't care. He careless.
He's not seeing anything.
No, he feels above everybody. He feels superior. He feels like on top of the world, and he's just riding on top speed. Imagine that happening to you. That's why most of the accidents, and he clearly stated it. He himself has had an accident because of that, because of poor judgment. You know, so it's a big deal. In our part of the world, mostly it's not for the tramadol. It's not iatrogenic. Mostly, it's peer influence. When we come to talk about the injectables, that one mostly is iatrogenic. Like for example, if Prof had continued that the second dose and the third dose, and because he's a doctor, he prescribed it, he will start prescribing. That becomes a different topic. But the tramadol use is ghetto. It's a street. People, you will not get to buy it in a pharmacy shop. Now, so there are evil businessmen behind it. They are making money off people's addiction. They know that. So they want to get it close to you as much as possible. So when they notice that the government was clamping down on tramadol, they switched the name, they changed the name
to red.
Then there's Stafordol. It's also the same tramadol, high dose tramadol. Then there's Tamakin. Then there's red. There are a lot of variations, trade names of the same tramadol. But now what they're actually doing, they are adding more things to it.
Like what?
They are adding muscle relaxant as well. The Tafordol, for example, has tapentadol and a carisoprodol, which is a muscle relaxant. So you see, and that muscle relaxant also has addictive potential. So two things that are highly addictive and will let your muscles relax. So the feeling of relaxation, the feeling of feeling good, feeling relaxed, because there's a lot of stress. The question would be, why do they use it? Aside the manual labor workers, most people, because of the stress they are going through in their life, and some of them also have underlying undiagnosed mental illnesses, anxiety, depression, some could even be psychosis, and they are self-medicating unawares, because when they take these drugs, the way they feel, they like it. So they just want to continue taking it over and over again. And also, people also need to know that the drugs that you are using also can precipitate a mental illness. So it's a bi-directional affair. Another thing of note, very key, is the red, the tramadol, whatever. Because of tolerance, you keep on using and using, and you lose control. It has potential to kill you. Overdose. It can depress your respiratory center. So the person will keep on using, and the point is, the first high you feel, you might never feel that high again, but you'll be chasing it. That's how the body is. So you keep chasing the high, you might never feel that high again.
Because you introduce the new thing, your body just gets it, picks it.
You are hopeful.
Now you want to get there again, but you won't get there.
See, the body works in a homeostatic fashion, where the body always wants to keep itself in balance. So when you have the high, the body goes into a state to make sure you don't go above that anymore. So even though you take higher doses, you feel high, but not as high as the first experience. But you are hopeful that you will ever feel it. That is why some use the opioid for a long time, then they add other things. They can use cannabis, alcohol, caffeine, that's energy drinks. Some use coffee
itself,
codeine-based cough syrups, all because they want to feel high from different sources. It's that they are just chasing the high.
That codeine, sorry, Doc.
Yes.
People buy the full bottle. I've seen somebody gulp the whole thing down.
Because
I saw it on one of my
codeine in that cough syrup, it's not too much. So they have to drink a lot to feel somehow.
But you can't drink the whole bottle. You prescribe that we should drink 10 ml, 5 ml. So why is somebody drinking the whole thing?
These are not people who are working with prescription.
A person is not looking for
the cough suppression,
the medical effect of it.
No.
The person is looking for something that is in a small quantity.
Yes.
Okay.
And to get a higher quantity of that, he has to take all of it. So if you take a typical cough mixture, maybe I'm just using hypothetical figures.
Right.
Let's say the actual cough suppressant, if it's not codeine, may be like 80%.
Right.
And they may put some 5% of codeine, something like a codeine containing cough mixture. The person wants 100% of codeine. He has to empty the whole bottle. Because when he takes that little one, he won't get it.
Something that we can take over 4 days.
Yes, maybe 5
days, 7 days. They take it in 1 minute. So that's what the drug is. When you start, it's a rabbit hole, an unending rabbit hole. So that's why he rightly advised people that do not even start it. However, on the other side, when the person is already using and is dependent, to say stop is not enough.
Do we get people walking to your office to say they want help?
Oh yeah, we have some few people coming. People using alcohol, people using opioids. Yes, some, but not too much. The reason being of stigma. A lot of people are highly stigmatized. If they should even seek psychiatric help, they'll say, oh, because you are mad. Do you understand? People attribute mental illness to, all they know about mental illness is somebody naked walking on the street.
Right.
But that is not the full scope of mental illnesses. Anxiety, depression are the most common we manage on day-to-day basis, and those are all mental illnesses. Autism is a mental illness. ADHD is a mental illness. These are all mental illnesses, you understand? So seeking mental health assistance or help is what we all need help. And I always say, without any data necessarily, that almost every family, and this is about 13 years on the job, I can tell you almost every family from first to 10th generation almost every family has somebody in their family who is currently having a mental illness or recovering from it or will have one. So there's no need to stigmatize anybody because, for example, I will ask a hypothetical question. If you start running out now naked, what would you want people to do for you? To catch you and clothe you, right? That's what you do for someone who find him or herself in that state, not to laugh at the person, not to stigmatize, not to say, so this one is not in my family. No, it's actually in your family, just that you're not aware.
There are those who also believe, and I'll come to you, Prof, in a bit about how our approach should change. But there are those who believe that, look, as for me, my body is different. I can take it and nothing will happen to me. I'm sure you've heard it in the ghetto. It's a
common thing, and the reason is everybody is different. Okay, everybody and how they handle medications and food and everything. So the dose that may work some way on a person may be different from yours, but does not mean that particular drug, for example, red, will not affect you in the long run. Someone may maybe at the dose of 4 tablets, may begin to feel the side effect. Maybe you need 20 tablets. And when you get there, you also begin to feel the medical side effect that we're talking about. The fact that for now, you don't have any consequences yet, visible, physical, or psychological consequences, does not mean there is nothing waiting for you. It's not without any side effect. And the side effects are a lot. Prof spoke about it. Renal failure, that's kidney damage, liver damage, aside the addiction and everything, and the risk of precipitating or perpetuating mental illnesses. And you spoke about the libido. That is the temporary benefit they get. But in the long term, it actually reduces your testosterone levels, so you're going to have erectile dysfunction. And you know, to be a man, that's what defines you as a man. So the very thing you are chasing, now you've lost it. You've lost your gun. So if you know you have the tendency or the potential to lose that gun, would you even want to take something that has that risk? No. So people need to know. But beyond the awareness, which I'm sure Prof is going to talk about, people now knowing these things are not good for them, there should be avenue to give them the necessary help. We just spoke to this gentleman for 5 minutes, and he opened our eyes.
To our approach,
our approach is we're just hitting the surface. The thing is deep rooted.
Kofi, call Dr. Ho man guide or send your bay out be film, and now one casana or yeah. Doctor say we are nessa obesa could be more. Very sure.
Because one, many animal your moment is over. And the meme, you know, and also Hundia me woman, so on also be damaged.
To say, Omano media.
Oh, Penino, no 7 years. And the second born on all 4 years. But I know which in a fiance or your 2
years. 7 years, Nippon who say why
on Bammy.
On Bell,
I want him on my side.
Okay. But Obia Umano Bien who say why de Kakra.
Oh, what time be a medium Buffia? Almost media go about this. I'm about them, maybe a metaconjuma, Misha telling my friend, I'm here, Nordens. And I am too. Maybe I be over Jiska or to idea done per week. Now, to me, or Yanni Crammy,
okay,
or maybe your hammy. Then I'll pay organize me of frequency. I mean, I can't on found for uncle. In person be hammy, feeling I'm
feeling it, dear. We see from a how.
And now, Doctor One, I did work 1% mechanism. Dogs in the more fun. So, hope I say, Giants were. I was starting more head pain.
Oh, start to say,
we start 7% me free.
Now, pile.
And now, grow. Daman, me feel it, my hand must see me forward. See, me feel it, Knupa, or one of a bomb. One as a bomb, correct one. I'm at maybe 1 week. I said, me home, sending me beside, and I'm doing your thing. A casino, I do me sound no more, still now. I didn't make more deeper. Because in down for no more crown is the one number. Omonumbro, the first, I am no more cocoton.
Me who say will be a pie 10 in a say daddy in a goodness, somebody in a good
daddy. Me say, I'm trauma don't quan and pan or be foul. It be a for trauma, it be a for D10. And I saw
sleeping tablets to be far.
Oh, daddy, D10 with me, or me pieces full pack. 1 pack of pieces full one, not that. tramadol.
Aka tramadol no ho. Inti ninsembe 20 tablets. Ono kwa.
See, for him, you see, he's got to a point where, and this is very necessary.
No, hold on. 20 different tablets.
Even more than that sometimes.
One man swallow everything.
It's tolerance. He didn't start that way. He started with one tablet, two tablets. The body needs more, the body needs more, the body needs more. So, yes, so with him, he got to a very important point, which is the realization. I always say there are three things that need to align for you to achieve good success with recovery. First, you have to realize it's bad for you. Two, you have to realize that you've tried to stop and you're not able to do it on your own. And three, you should be willing to accept the help. Now, he realized it's bad for him, considering his financial situations and the kids that are growing up and all that. So he took a personal initiative, which is very much commendable. Right? All he needs right now is a support group. To keep him on his toes, because once you are addicted, it's a chronic brain disorder, it's a mental illness. There's always risk of relapse. He's in recovery now. There's always, it's not curable. So there's always risk of relapse. So he just needs a support group that will keep edging him on, keep guiding him, changing his friendship, changing the people he associates, because it started with peers, right? And it can be sustained.
Still able
Be me my first no crama.
So
he's doing very well. He knows what to do.
Exactly. Okay. Now e ho de bi ni ho.
O da bi hormones buanza na obeba krum na nya kwan keto.
So he's smart. He's very smart. He knows you have to change your association. So it's about avoiding the people, the places, the circumstances that make you or increase the chance of you using. When you're in recovery, you have to change the people, the places, the things, the circumstances that increase your chance of using. And he's done just that. What he needs in addition is a support group.
And he definitely needs that. The truth is,
where would he find that?
So that is the question. So there were a few.
Let's start with that, with the approaches.
Yes.
Where would he get that?
So, well, I know that, for instance, in Kolebu, they used to have an addictive diseases group unit, and they have support groups there that they meet people, Alcoholic Anonymous group, who are struggling to get out of alcohol, who they get religious people and others among themselves, peer influence, talk to themselves. Because if you don't change that setting, it becomes difficult. But the nation also needs to be more intentional about this. These are very isolated things. But considering that we are in an epidemic of this opioid abuse, if we want to tackle it, we have to look at it at different levels. First, we have to tackle the prevention.
Right.
How do we prevent more people from falling into this? That calls for regulatory vigilance. The presence of these opioid medications on our markets is a sign of multiple regulatory failures. The FDA, by their Public Health Act 851, means they have failed because they are mandated to regulate the manufacture, the importation, the distribution, and the sale of these medicines. If FDA people are checking pharmacies and medicine counter place for opioid, from what we have heard today, we have failed because you won't find it there.
They are not there.
They are not there.
They are with the T sellers and the X sellers and the...
You know, Pharmacy Council will be regulating the pharmacies. And now the pharmacies are being whipped in line. Some were arrested, some are being prosecuted, so they won't sell these there. These guys are going round. The police, the immigration, all these other people, narcotics control, they are tasked to prevent trafficking of all narcotics and psychotropic medications. So how do these get in here? By their Act 2020-1019. How do we get these in? And there are some coming to this country and leave out. And if you follow the current trajectory, it has a close association with Galamsey now. The predominance of this in Galamsey areas, and it just buttresses what Doc was saying, because people who are involved in manual work, like him, carrying concrete here and there, they think they need this as help. And many of these have very poor economic situation, so they think they need something to manage the stress. So along this Galamsey route, it will surprise you that the Galamsey campaigns are distributing them to these young guys to work out their lungs, for them to make their gold and go and sit somewhere while they are struggling. So if you are tackling it in the markets and leaving out these places, we are losing out. The second phase is that whilst we are trying to prevent people from coming in, and in the prevention as well, individuals, parents, all of us have a role to play. Because I tell my sons, I have 4 sons, and I tell them every day, if you touch this, getting you out is almost impossible. Because the relapse rate is so high. People who successfully go through therapy and don't relapse, in some particular medications, 15 to 30%. Which means if you take 100 people through, only about 15 or 30 people may succeed not going back. So we have to look at the prevention. Now, in the therapy phase, noticing that some people are already in it, the nation might be more intentional. If we count the number of public rehabilitation facilities we have in the country.
We don't. Please, let's not go.
I think
just
the only
like
place
the
that I know is supposed to be is Pantan. But even Pantan, even though the structures are there, whether it is properly tooled, resourced to do that, it's a challenge. And something that is moving, and you can almost draw a map of this opioid crisis, where it's predominant.
It's everywhere, Doc.
It's everywhere.
Everywhere, Prof. I'm telling you.
Yeah, I know. It's everywhere. But I'm saying that you have high cases in some areas.
Right.
In the ghetto areas, busy towns, along the Galamsey area. So if you have only one rehabilitation place in Accra, how are we tackling this? Can we decide to deliberately just ignore all these young people who are having it as if it doesn't exist? So it means that we must invest in rehabilitation. In the middle belt, in the northern belt, we should have national rehabilitation centers because we recognize this as an epidemic. And the support groups is critical. We need to train more peer counselors and people to help these people to be able to get out of it. Because if you go into the rehab and you are getting out, you are going to a community. If you go back to the same friends, the same people, you will relapse. It's the reason why he was saying, Doc mentioned that you have to change the people, your set of friends, the people you sit to drink with, the ghettos, you have to change that. If you don't change that, you have a challenge. So the country must invest in this. The painful thing is, we are going to have the effect of this crisis in about 20 years, where adults who are supposed to be actively working have been destroyed by these drugs. And these are going to increase attendances in our mental health facilities, because you note your classmates you went to JSS with who is working, and you cannot do any work. You've dropped out of school, you couldn't learn any trade because of this. And you are prone to crime because you had to do that to sustain this. So even if you have stopped by that time, this population that would then have become like 40, 45 to 50 without job, without any skill, previous crime history, how are we going to handle that group? And if we don't take a deliberate action now, many more youth are getting in. Many more youth are getting in. And we have to manage it now and think about the long-term effect. So this did not start very long ago.
Right.
What we used to battle with when we were in secondary school was cannabis. And people may be taking cannabis, you may find somebody's shito and all that, so you are scared to eat people's shito. Now in cake, in toffee, you are finding all sorts of things.
Right.
So a lot of the youth are getting in. So I think it's an emergency. It's an epidemic. Let's look at the prevention. Let's look at treating those who are in it now. Finding alternative livelihoods for them. Skills that they can work with. Because if not, then the long-term effect I'm talking about will also going to kick in about 10, 15 years.
And that will be more disastrous.
More disastrous. Because they have kids they cannot take care of. They are not employable at that level. Many suffering with chronic diseases. We will be in a very bad state. So we must approach it holistically.
Right.
To be able to come out of this.
Doc, let me take your closing thoughts on this one. Where do we go from here? The problem is here already.
Yes.
So, as you rightly stated, we've been looking at it from a different perspective.
Yes.
But now, hearing from the horse's own mouth, we know that we may be going the wrong direction. How do we recalibrate? and get onto the right path? What do we need to do in closing?
So we need to get the full picture. We need to collaborate with the people who have the lived experience. People like Kofi, they have to be part of the team. They will guide you to where it's being done. They have people they call street kings. They rule the catchment area.
That's right. Sariki, they call them. They get to Sariki.
And they know where everybody. They know the police may not have that full intel, but they do. So these are the people you give them help, and then they'll guide you. Snowball effect. They'll be able to get more people out of the. A lot of people in the ghetto actually want to get out, but they keep going back because of the withdrawal effect. Now, Prof spoke about prevention. Primary prevention is making sure people don't join.
Right.
Secondary prevention is treating the people who have the problem. That's where we are lacking, and Prof has said it. Pantan, for example, is the best rehab in the country, but it is poorly resourced, and that's an understatement. But it has the structures present, the staffing is available to do much work, but it is poorly resourced. Accra Psychiatric Hospital also has a rehab now, but again, poorly resourced. They don't have the numbers. Kolebu doesn't have a rehab. It has an OPD one.
Okay.
Even that one is poorly resourced. So there's a lot more work. There's the intentionality from
our biggest tertiary hospital.
Yeah, we have.
We don't have one.
No, we don't have a rehab. We only have the OPD one, which is even poorly resourced. So the intentionality from the national level has to be. There should be some level of commitment. So partnering with people with lived experience is very important. Now, Prof also said the effect you're going to feel it in 10, 20 years. True. Why? Because most of these people are in SHS. Now, the brain develops from back to forward. The frontal lobe is the one that matures final. That's the part you use for decision making, judgment, your impulse control, and everything. And it matures fully roughly after 24 years. Now, if you start using these drugs of abuse before that age, a lot of long-lasting changes happens there. That's why you end up growing and not being fully functional. So you see some of your classmates, SS, maybe university, after some years, they are now unemployable.
Right.
Because they are dysfunctional. They are hooked onto drugs, called junkies and all that. Because they started using the drugs far, earlier, and the damage that it has caused to their frontal lobe is quite long-lasting. So what we need to do is the holistic approach. All stakeholders involved, regulatory, lived experience, professionals on the field, and training more workers, getting the facilities all in place. So it's not just about telling people it's good, stop it. When it comes to addiction, stop drug use is not enough because it's a disease.
Great. Dr. Albert Sedo here is a specialist psychiatrist with the Kolebu Teaching Hospital. We're grateful for your time. Professor Titus Bayo is also the MP for Lambusi and a member of Parliament's Health Committee. Prof, can we get a commitment from you to make a statement in Parliament on this subject matter for all of our sakes?
In fact, I did. Much earlier, and so I'm going to follow up on this at the health committee because, in fact, in the crisis, at the height of the crisis, when they did the BBC report,
that's right,
I made a statement on the floor of
Right,
Parliament.
I remember that
exactly. So it's
but this one has come home.
Yes, so I'll follow up on it.
I hear you.
Yes,
thank you very much.
Maybe pose some urgent questions.
Thank you very much, gentlemen.
Using red before
Kofi, name wrap it up. What on when you are top drugs that?
Because it's time I start saying no sanya money na me age maneska.
Okay.
But pense ebia me penin pose me ton me ho nyama dia to sanya man because the more me ton me san ko form abrabom.
Right.
And it means me nyasadia.
Kofi, you wrap it up. Me pese wo kasa wakoma so. Ne da wakoma so. Street ni tie omo afi no mo be remote omo be wie JSS omo fra get to 4 SS4 university 4 kasachrom
no kwanya me nim dia no kre bako because you are see daba ko pe na de be free abrabo we mu akọ ana enya fan so say onama abrabo we mu a hwin haw awon yare na youth to say me na makase bia me ko to edro bi say anu emboa because one yenyi no your burden yen kase yenyi this a once
right
ya be nyama bebre wa brabo no mu on peni say ubaba be do stages bia e bia we kase wa wo nyama wo betimi dia bo ho wa brabo mu no no wa pakina wo sanso ton e de to drugs na yam boys ya munye scan kakra ya metimi da bo bra pa no almost also the third drugs that be any into the foot on metima 2 on say no kwenya men just say sadeni na you resigned to your back pocket because abrabone da enim me fast abrabot enfan ko bibia enya brabo papa.
Chairman, good morning. Charlie, make I hear your voice. How be?
Cool.
Everything nice.
Yeah, everything.
What's your name? Kari Madam. Okay. This is your blink and everything we read here, Charlie. It's serious matter. So what do you do in the ghettos?
Okay. I have more friends in the ghettos.
Okay.
I started at the ghetto. Yeah. From Kasua to Accra, Kantamanto, June 4th.
Right.
It's an area there.
Right. I know June 4th, yeah.
It's a tough area.
Right. Very, very tough area.
Konkoma,
very, very tough area.
Circle, Mokola and stuff. So I have more friends there. I grew up there.
Right.
So I know most of their things that they are doing. Yeah, I sit.
You sit with them.
Right. Yeah, and do everything. And I've been looking at them, whatever is going on up and down. So I know everything.
I see.
Yeah.
And the story that Kofi, for example, is telling us, is it a story that cuts across people in there who are doing these things? Do they even realize that they are doing these things?
They know they are doing it.
Then they see say that they do this thing.
Then they see say then they do them, but they don't get any choice. That be what they make them feel happy.
I see.
You understand? That be what they make them feel. Sometimes we go feed day then take videos. Some go feed day then like ebi mu wo no a omo to me omo yo mo na na form of video obe sorry obe na obe to me ni bu afu so obe so on kan che so diamond delete ba ne kasa mu na
on the
feel pose wa e bibi
ayedo
yes mimi wa dan fo po a be pemende metumi ada anajo 12 no woni dem o ba obe frame se membra na mene ne yentena abontin na mfra no ndizika we onda mpa na obeda so na problem no stuffing chain na o mu akonja mu fan no mfra ma na nso no
nchopa abontin die no
intisani pasa na otimoto so just imagine
okosa
on check is traffic and I said moto no po e ba start say okada aba so no say boys bebe wu
yeah
and you say e bi mu o mu nim riding o go feel say no say aboso kan zongo for example me say area ni di ana se ba no kro no ma me nu aya nyame de nti meka what ma say ya sumo bi so onko deliver de onko baby no otumi jai na akọ get obi ansa no fa
obefa level ansa
obefa ansa na won say okay ade na to ni mu no okay no otumi move on nti ejuma de bebre
na ojidi say betumi etwa
ejuma kese pa because sell be business be business ono so be sorry attack in some way
right
so to me now I was so now forever on shuttle down
that's right
na more times so for heading po say you to know o the camera see supo a adentina o nim say dia o ya na ye no e the camera see so a
na obofu
cause me say me anga say me to me aka say fine me she me anga say me she po me to me fa
right o to me video
na post obi abe hu
right
but o de na o ye no uni e ma unjare share condition now
when him look good cry
feeling
out nam keke
when him best tie bianga za de na wa fana ebema woni ma obi
ubon say obi start issue am tro share wa dan fo a
o say o tanu asema ni okra
na on fa nkoto de
peso brain no
as a word junior smart so ni panzo so ndina ho adun say
word ho adwo
ada
with me more stories bia ade a mimi say ade a mimi ni face be pemende
me share madam for bi wo gaskia aboso kan gaskia matai ko aboso kan gaskia no o brain mi na me sheni di say
sereneo
sheni di music kabiru he brain mi see dem
no say no look ni po no ko jino obi store ni so pe ejuma onya
obi amano
nti the best thing is over say ono be kosa nti say continuous na feel no the no share to say scrubs asem na
right
on feel is also scrubs but the pressure abre no
there's also simbi na onye bi di for you
sikasem susu like ebi mu person mo jai
obi o person o jai o ba ni sikasem a enko yi ma no nti
hospital
otumu say sikasem enko yi ma me frustration ati me mama no ma dey na me overdose na me baby
na dey achi
then ade bechi
the experience
so yes I know enye zia o ebe ha
experience in there bebre ye mpanyin for no mo sorry a omo ye ejum ye nse na ehu so omo nye ejuma no
enye sa no mo ye ejuma
omo ye ejuma no keke cause me say me ma ga so omo ye ejuma no keke because wo na wa ba na wo pam obi no me anga sa mo obi gina me nchen a o ton nti wa ba no wo pam ye nyina no wo die nyina tikukukuku
say wo pam me de me na akoka no ho me kwa share no ho ato
na be dwane ba se wa ba in a calm way wo hwe me formula na me de ti ona na wo hwe nipa no obi a ono offer anytime bia go hu difference and I me o get onu nti na wo hu send e obeba no so one minute ejuma na wo ya na una obo hu send e obeba no because me so metina say anya say bia let me metina nipa be 20 meka che obi asem obi ansoro obi na obe sorry that's the thing
because we control
yo study bia ni control me so ba yo mpanyimfo a me so
that's right
sa microphone nyina na also follow up ansa na sa di
approach the sisa
and sisa enye kukuku
enye gidi
ni dey am fashion ba sisi a ma okay ma be pam o side way muni be bi o ma ko obi o tifie po o se wa be kan o mo yesa stop drugs ba be to ma chere de dia ne bati sisi a
ne ba o get to be
me to ma chere no
nti wa
dey a be pam ya na sa dey na e ko ye get to me to ma chance o ba no pa kwa se ko ha na no me ma 1 week o ko na 1 hunu 3 times 4 times a e bia be jimi bibi
c'est samedi
me you know ya de me you know
hey gentlemen ya da mo asepa enti ya be hwe se ebe yi a okay ya se yi ya da mo so asepa
mo na ss enti ya be fa
ya da mo asepa na esrenso se mo be use mo influence no or get us the money the aye bibia mana ye fine you pay because in na ye say a enye o man ni begwase
mo na mo tete estate ni nyama na mo na mo bre
correct
because
so you are the member now what the oba
me am no gangster
oba gangster how they be
there into oba the officer on we bia on
dada yeah
oh yeah on profile profile no nim say nda na ebetu ya o na mo on dwen ho hwe e obi o nim say na ebetu ya
wa ye calculation
sa pressure
no plan am
sa pressure no o krum ye hu no different from the
cra no cra and the no cra pa Charlie, thank you very much. I'm grateful. Thanks. All right.